Just getting the audio started. Sorry, everybody. A little worse for wear on this Sunday morning after yesterday. Probably sounds like it. Hello, Blake. Sweet Prince, that's very kind of you. All right, check 2. Here we go. All right. Now we're in. That was some bonus content for everybody. It is the 200 level Mike Carpenter, the basement studio after a false start, which did Illinois have one of those yesterday? That was not my expected transition to start this thing, but I was trying to figure out what to call this episode, and I settled on Redemption Day, and I thought, okay, is that a little bit heavy-handed? But then I thought about what yesterday kind of means and how it felt, and I don't think that is a hyperbolic title. And it's for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is you had a coaching staff that came under fire, the most I had seen since Bret Bielema got here. I think that there was a lot of anger, to be quite honest, after what happened to Indiana. And it wasn't unfounded to lose in the way that you did with all the stakes, national TV, primetime game, was embarrassing. And I think it probably had Illini fans questioning, were we going to now go down a similar rabbit hole of disappointing seasons after really good ones? So the Redemption Day, we'll start with the redemption for the coaching staff in getting this win against USC. And, you know, I said on the last 2 podcasts, the anger that just 7 days ago I had here and the frustration, and then settled down in midweek podcast, I felt the same way, which is football and sports in general are weird. And sometimes inexplicably, you can be your worst one week and be really good the next. But for that to have come to fruition, as it did yesterday at Memorial Stadium, it starts with the coaching staff somehow keeping that locker room focused and finding or striking the right balance between urgency and not panicking. So the redemption I'll start with begins with the big man up top, and it's Bret Bielema. For this team to play the way that they did, really for all 60 minutes, when the stakes were as high as they were, shows that this guy is worth the money that you're paying him. We had a brief discussion in the midweek pod with St. Dominic's Rosary. I think that's the last name, but he is a podcast listener and watcher, and he's been in here before. But he said, Bret Bielema, I don't think is our guy. And we had a discussion about that where I said, well, he's not Curt Cignetti, but few are. But he might very well be your guy. And yesterday goes such a long way in reestablishing the fact that these 5 years that he's been here have been a lot of fun with some disappointments along the way. But, you know, to get a win like yesterday under the circumstances is so antithetical to the Illinois football that I grew up on that I'm enjoying every freaking minute of it. And it goes to him and the coaches under him and this consistency apparently that they had during this week that had the team come out and play the way that they did. Redemption extends to the players. For these young men who are 18 to 22, and, you know, I teach a sports journalism class over there, so I'm teaching a lot of freshmen, and they're still kids. You know, I can get frustrated while watching the games, but it's been a while since I've really had venom towards student athletes, or now, whether you want to use that moniker or not, just college athletes in general, because, you know, I can get frustrated with individual plays, but then you see the human side of it, and they're going to make mistakes. Well, they made a crap ton of those against Indiana, more than any Division I team or Power 4 team should. And they shook it off and played like that yesterday against a really good USC team. So talk about redemption. You get pantsed the way that you did, and you come back and do that. It shows a mental wherewithal that is to be applauded. And I asked someone at the tailgate yesterday, I don't know these guys, so is it weird to say I'm proud of them? Is that almost patronizing in a weird way to say I'm proud of this Illinois team? I am, though. Call it fans feel pride for their team when they play well, even though you don't know the players. I am proud of what they were able to do in just a week's time to bounce back in the way that they did. How could you not be? That's the kind of stuff when you watch sports that gets the juices flowing and gets you really excited to see what happens next, because it didn't have to go like it did yesterday. That game did not have to go according to script, but it went according to script, almost a Hollywood movie script, because the players, 18 to 22-year-old guys, some making money and some maybe not, are put forth, I think, their best 60-minute effort I've seen since Michigan or South Carolina last year. I mean, it was just awesome stuff. Redemption for the fans, if this makes sense. Redemption for this fan base that as I'm sitting there in that stadium, I see them come out in droves, sold out crowd, the stadium soaked in orange, and they were ready to go from the start. When there could have been a fold your arms and, all right, Illinois, show me what you got. But instead, there was genuine enthusiasm and excitement in that stadium from the jump. And it felt like everybody was pulling their weight. And the redemption part for the fans comes in the fact that for people that have been going to these games for a long time, you knew from previous experience how this often ended up. When Khalil Valentine fumbles and it becomes a touchback and USC gets the ball down 6, you all knew where it was going. I certainly did. The older gentleman in front of me, he certainly did. The family behind me, the dad and mom for sure, knew where this was going. Yet, us as fans got to see the reversal of so many things we'd seen before and get reminded of the fact that just because Illinois football has blown games like that in the past does not mean they are destined to do it over and over again. And they did not do that yesterday. So what we're going to talk about today, and forgive me if it does sound, again, hyperbolic, but I am not sure if that wasn't a season-saving win. It very well could have been. And I wonder if by year's end we look back on homecoming Saturday against USC following that blowout at Indiana as the game where things clicked into place en route to another very good season. What a day, though. I mean, talk about a 5-star day. I use that term only when it does apply. And it was a 5-star day from the get-go, from all the people at the tailgate to, yeah, it was hot, but not overly so. It was a sun-soaked afternoon and morning in Champaign. And to see and feel the vibes of that stadium and the post-game party that ensued, it's so cool. Like I was getting poetic there, and then I end with it's so cool. Well, think about it. I mean, it is the life-affirming kind of stuff that you get with the best of sports. And I can only liken one other thing to it. It's a great rock and roll concert where I walk out of the stadium or the amphitheater, wherever I see it, and my heart is full, and I'm just like buzzing with what I just witnessed. And it was the same thing yesterday, where just absolute jubilation for a fan base that deserves it, for a coaching staff and team that deserves it. Because whatever they put in this week, and however they had to respond, they did so with gusto on national TV, with Big Noon kickoff, with the stakes as high as they had probably been for Bret Bielema since the Kansas game last year, which I felt was so consequential, and they got it done. Same with Michigan last year. Had to win it, got it done. Citrus Bowl, didn't have to win it, but you did. You raised the stakes and you raised the profile of your program. And now, when it looked like your reputation could have been severely damaged after that Indiana game, you win that. And I thought it was so cool how Bret Bielema, coming off of the field, he said there's 2 things you can't buy: time and your reputation. And I never heard that before. The reputation thing struck me, though, because he said our reputation was on the line today. And I think we answered the call. And I'm paraphrasing a bit, but I thought, God damn, if I'm a player, I'm running through a brick wall for that big man, because that your reputation was on the line. It was. And I think that's why you had such a full-throated crowd ready to go yesterday, because there was a an urgency and this sense of, damn it, I think we're good. We aren't as bad as last week. We got to show it. And you did. It took 4 hours. It was an epic game. It was the Lawrence of Arabia of Illinois football games that I've seen. And what a day. What a recalibration for this team. And so much good to unpack from the mental aspects that I think we all needed. All needed a mental cleanse, to the actual on-the-field product, which looked pretty damn good yesterday. So let's get to it. Hello to those in the chat threads on our 3 platforms. Apologies for the occasionally cracking voice. Oh, it was that kind of day. We had so much fun and so much yelling, full-throated cheering in the stands. So forgive me for that if it sounds a little worse for wear. But I do want to say, for those that are in the chat thread, light it up. I want to hear from those that were either there or watching it on TV, your experience watching that game, your feelings as USC briefly took the lead only to leave 2 minutes for Luke frickin' Altmyer and Barry frickin' Lunny and David frickin' Olano to do what they did. So before I get too far ahead of myself, I want to remind you that the best way to support the 200 level is to support our sponsors. That includes, of course, Hamilton Walkers in downtown Champaign, steak, seafood, and spirits right in the heart of downtown Champaign. So whether it be for a pregame meal or a postgame celebration, Hamilton Walkers, I'm sure, was pretty full for homecoming weekend, and my wife and I are going soon for our anniversary dinner. It's our spot. I cannot recommend it enough, and I appreciate their sponsorship of the 200 level. Oh, there goes the voice again. State Farm agent Brian Hansen, online at brianismyguy.com. Life, auto, home, business renters, you name it, whatever your insurance needs, Brian is our guy, and he can be your guy as well at brianismyguy.com. Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing, your home's best friend. Schedule that furnace check. No, it might not seem like you need to when it's 85 degrees outside yet again, but soon enough by calling 217-841-4728 for Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing. And finally, Owen Builders LLC, online at owenbuildersllc.com. For your next home improvement project, check out a gallery of their work online at owenbuildersllc.com. I know all of our sponsors are Illini fans, so you're not just supporting local businesses, you're supporting certainly not any USC Trojan fans, which there were many yesterday. And it's a brand. Let's start with the fact that you beat USC at home. That's pretty cool. I was at the Rose Bowl back in 2008, January 1st, 2008. Didn't go well, somewhat expectedly, but it got away from you. And I'm pretty sure that USC had a couple of wins against Illinois in the 90s. It's a brand. It's cool to have them in the Big Ten. It was cool to look out in the field and see the dark red and kind of golden yellow jerseys. They're classic. The pep band was way up top, so they weren't too annoying. And that's the pomp and circumstance that you want in big-time college football, and we had that yesterday, and I think USC was part of it. So quite a few fans out there. I hope Illinois fans were chill towards the USC folk because, like California, they're chill out there. Shoot. And why wouldn't you be? If you're a USC fan living in Los Angeles, you get beautiful weather year-round, and you got a top-notch football program. Though I think Lincoln Riley, we can talk about that because I'm not really sure what that guy's deal is. He's fine. He's a talented offensive mind, but head coach leaves you wanting. A little anecdote to kind of tell you how cool and unique this day was. So I go into the games. I went with my niece yesterday, and she was blown away by the experience. 4-hour game, sure, but she was a trooper. Stuck it out in the heat. We would take breaks in the shade, and the cool thing is we have that guy that wears the red polo that tells you how many minutes you have before the TV timeout is over. So 3 minutes, great. Get some water, use the restroom, get some shade. We did pretty well, and I think I didn't see anyone necessarily passing out or getting sick within the stadium. So, we showed our colors as fans yesterday. We were there, we were loud despite the heat. But to me, I understand the appeal of staying in the tailgate lots as well. So we had a big group, and they stayed out there to watch the game on our big TV, and I got the generator going. And this generator, it's been a saga for us. For some reason, I'm not good with mechanical stuff, so I always kind of attribute it to me not doing the best with changing the oil or maybe missing this, that, or the other step. When I turned it on, sometimes it would turn right off. So It lasted great during the Western Michigan game. 10 hours straight, that tailgate. No problems. Okay, we finally figured it out. Yesterday, it's humming perfectly. And they're watching the game out there for the tailgate. And Illinois is driving down the field. 30 seconds left. 25. Okay, Caden Fagan, it's 4th and 1. Bring out the kicking team. Call timeout. There we go. David Olano lining up for the kick. He takes a step back. There's a group of about 30, 40 people apparently at the tailgate now watching this on TV. Ready, by the way, for whenever those fireworks go off, because there's usually a 5 to 10 second delay from what happens in the stadium to what you're seeing on TV. And right as they get ready to snap the ball, TV goes black. My friend Matt, maybe it's inclination because he has 2 kids and sometimes they step on the remote at home, but he's like, who stepped on the goddamn remote? This is all about according to those that were there because I was in the stadium. No, the generator died. They missed the kick. And the groan, I can only imagine, when that happened, only to be replaced within 5 seconds of a tailgate next door going crazy, fireworks going off, celebration ensues, laughs are had, and I'm thinking, what a freaking perfect little bookend or exclamation mark on the day, because I just think, of course, it would have been cool to see the kick go in. But a kick is a kick, right? It either goes in or it doesn't. It's more the result afterwards. And they still got to revel in the victory. But I came back out just sort of like a victory lap as I'm heading back out to lot 31. And they tell me this story. I'm like, oh, God dang it. I'm sorry, guys. But they say, no. It made it all the more memorable. So it's little things like that about these tailgating days. And I know my voice is wearing it right now, but can we just start with what a perfect day that was? You have USC in town. That's cool. 85 and sunny. That's cool. The lots are packed. I mean, it's always kind of been there. You knew that the fan base was around. The difference now, though, is this is appointment party central, like everywhere around us. My sister and brother, they park in lot 31. They couldn't get a spot. And it was maybe 9:45 when they got in there. So, I mean, maybe that's on them for not getting there sooner, but literally could not find a spot. So it is so cool to be in the middle of and be enveloped by the atmosphere of thousands of people. Yeah, the cell phones don't work that great. Yeah, there's a lot of stimulus and you'll run into the occasional drunkard or something. No. I want all of it. I want the good and the bad, because 99% of what we saw yesterday around that stadium and in the stadium was good. And it does tell me, in fact, that Illinois football can be, and has no excuse not to be for that matter, a really good football program with a fan base that is just as rabid as any. And I think in a very macro sense, before I get in the game and break it down, in a very macro sense, why yesterday was so freaking awesome and why people are hugging strangers and high-fiving strangers and full-throated, yeah. I mean, I certainly was leaving the stadium, and students were rushing the field. Because I've said before that the thing with Illinois football that can be so frustrating is I would watch a Wisconsin, for example, and think, man, their fans are getting to experience a sort of consistent joy that I don't. You can call that being resentful of their happiness. I guess so. I would not dismiss that notion. I resented it a little bit. But more than that, instead of resentment, I just wanted it. I wanted to feel what that was like. I can say within the last 4 years, I'm thinking of the big wins, right? Iowa and Minnesota at home in 2022. I know there were a couple of disappointing losses later, but those 2 weeks in a row were like, wow, we could do this. If you recall, that Iowa game, a big game in 2022, drew, I think, 43 or 45,000 people. That's what it drew. This is how far you've come in a pretty short amount of time. 2023, disappointing year. Were there any big home wins that year? I don't think so. Last year, you get Kansas. You get Michigan. The November games, you win, no big deal. But, I mean, you get big wins at home. And now with this, it's starting to become a thing. the big home game, you're starting to win with some consistency. And you're beating the ranked teams at home. I know Minnesota last year was a loss. They weren't ranked, and it was sort of a ho-hum affair. Okay, losing that game was not a huge dent in the armor. I don't know why it didn't feel that way. It was 2 losses in a row, but I wasn't pulling the lever of panic or anything. But no, you beat USC, number 21 in the country. The metrics love them even more than that. You beat Kansas last year when they were maybe 19. You beat Michigan when they were number 24. Top 10 teams, they were not. I get it. But the stakes were the highest in all of those. And for a fan base that recalls as recently as 2023 against Wisconsin at home, Johnny Newton goes out for targeting. Wisconsin from that point forward cannot be stopped. It felt briefly like yesterday might go that direction, and it didn't. So all these moments of joy that just out of reach because the opposing team comes back and wins later. Illinois blows it, as they almost did yesterday with 2 fumbles, essentially at the goal line. And they won the game. What a reversal of fortune. What joy that we all get to experience with this. And I think it's time to really dig into this game and talk about all these superlative performers. So I got to give Jeremy and Joey on the Illini Inquirer podcast props. They go blue sometimes. They will bust out some language. And he's not a guy, Jeremy, because I worked with him for a long time. He's not one to usually drop obscenities. I'm far more inclined to do that in casual conversation. And he says, okay, earmuffs for the kids at home. The offensive effing line. See, I didn't even say it. I drop the S-bomb occasionally on here, but no, he did. And it was worthy of it because the offensive line, I think we must start with. I called out. Many of you called out. Fans, listeners, prognosticators, pundits. What is the Bart Miller thing? What is this? Why are we having a slow start again? The Indiana game was the absolute, not apex, was the opposite, nadir of offensive line performance for this Illinois football program under Bret Bielema in year 5 with 5 returning starters. That was a week ago that we were having that conversation. What the hell was going on with these guys? They looked great yesterday against a very good USC defensive line. As good as Ohio State? Probably not. Pretty darn good? You bet. NFL players all over that line. For this offensive line to do that, given the circumstances of the week before, to turn it around in 7 short days is such a credit to them and to Bart Miller and to Bret Bielema, who I would imagine was a little bit more active with them, but props have to be given to Bart Miller. I would prefer, if he is the long-term guy as offensive line coach, that you don't need to keep doing this thing where you have a rough start to the year and then finally figure it out. I hope we can get past that. But for yesterday, what a performance. The run game was there all day. Luke Altmyer was sacked once, and that was a corner blitz that was well-timed and well-called by USC staff. I wish Luke would have seen it. I wish there would have been some sort of, it was a hard hit, and I was a little bit worried for Luke afterwards because he looked a little shaken up. It was fine. That performance, you won that game for a lot of reasons, but I think the primary one is that your offensive line looked like a legit Big Ten offensive line for the first time this year for a full 60 minutes. We saw signs of it. Second half at Duke, they look great. Second half against Western, they look great, but that's Western, Illinois or Michigan, but that doesn't really count. And the Indiana game left you thinking, well, what the hell are these guys? They were A+. How many tackles for loss? If you think about it, I mean, the run game, worst case, it was a 2-yard run, it felt like. I don't think there were any major big losses in terms of tackles. So the offensive line set everything up. And I want to go back and make sure I get these stats right. But for you to pop off 171 rushing yards, 331 passing yards. And what I love about it is if you were to take that Caden Fagan screen and he was running down our sideline, I mean, it was just such a cool moment. Kind of like a run play in a way. It's just a little screen pass. My argument is that if that were to count as rushing yards, you're essentially 50-50, which is what makes Barry Lunny so good when he's cooking. The balance is impeccable, and it was yesterday to the point where, in the stands, I didn't know what they were going to call next. I thought there was only one series, perhaps, where you had a false start after it was 2nd and 3, then became 2nd and 8, and then Barry threw it twice, and Luke missed 2 outs on the 2nd and 3rd. This is in the second half, and that was the only possession where I felt like Barry maybe could have ran it another time because we were sort of gashing them or starting to. But the offensive line made it possible for Barry Lunny to get in his bag, and I got to start there. I need to then mention Luke Altmyer, Barry Lunny, what a combination. These two guys, when they are cooking, have such a grasp of the offense. They were so steady, and every time we had the ball, we didn't punt, we punted once, right? It was a decent punt down to the 20. But the other 2 times you didn't score were fumbles at the 5 and at the 1. That's not on Lunny and Luke. The calls were right. You were a whisker away from scoring 45 points and not having to kick the game-winning field goal. Now, that on one hand could be a concern, but one of those fumbles was a punch-out. The other one, I think, he looked down according to the images that I saw after. I also hate the fact, blow the goddamn whistle. Forward progress, blow the goddamn whistle. These refs, if I can just do a quick aside, sucked ass yesterday. And these games, as Illinois won, it's fine. It doesn't need to go 4 hours. And it did. And a big reason is why that is these officials cannot get out of their own way. The spots were consistently awful. Caden Fagan got a first down before we kicked that field goal. I watched the replay last night. It was a first down. They mark him a yard short. Earlier in that drive, he gets a 10-yard run. We're going to mark you at 9. Jesus. Open your goddamn eyes. Get the spot right. You incompetent nitwits. These... That bothers me fundamentally. And then last night, the targeting for the Penn State game that wasn't. What the hell are these guys doing? If you don't want to get made fun of and called bad at your jobs, then start being good at them. And I don't need to hear this nonsense about it's a difficult job. Fine. There's a lot of difficult jobs, and some of them far more than being a college football official. Get the basic stuff right is all I'm saying. If there's some bang stuff you don't, okay. Get spots correct. When you have video review, get that correct. Just absolute garbage from them. But honestly, probably garbage a little bit on both sides. USC we got some breaks as well throughout the game. So the officiating was probably a wash. I'm not saying it would have contributed one way or the other, but get the simple stuff right. Come on. All right, that's the only complaint I have today, really. We'll get to the defense in a bit where there's criticisms, but I have a maybe more nuanced take about where the defense is right now. But Luke and Lunny, back to them, sorry for the aside, were fantastic yesterday. And when we got the ball back with 1:55, and I know that Luke's going to be the guy under center, I felt good. It's just the fact that so many things could go wrong. My fear was less about Luke and more about, oh, God, if we fumble it one more time, I don't know how I'm going to contextualize this game without going bananas and thinking we blew it. But not with Luke and Lunny. And what I thought was so cool at that last drive was Lunny goes run, short pass, run, pass, run. With 1:55 to go, you got in field goal range, running. And to me, it was just such an exclamation point on what I thought was an A+ day for Barry Lunny. And he's starting to have more and more of those, by the way. That made me think this guy is a step ahead of the opposing defensive coordinator, and that's starting to happen more regularly. Again, the offensive line was the key that unlocked the ability to run. But when Lunny discovered, oh, we are running the ball effectively today, then he just seemed to be so at ease and so in control with the calls that he was making. So props to him, man. That was an incredible game. And Luke Altmyer, 10 different receivers. He was, 330 yards. And his efficiency is insane, guys. 20 for 26, 328, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Him and Ty Simpson are the only quarterbacks in college football with 10 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. I know Indiana wasn't good. That game got away from you. Luke maybe missed a throw or 5 in that, but he's been extremely good. And you will win games because of having a quarterback like that. Isn't it nice to be in the stands and just feel so at ease when that guy is under center? And know that if it's a one-possession game in the fourth quarter, yet again, who was it? Luke, that led you down for a game-winning drive. Sometimes these have been touchdowns. Sometimes they've been game-winning field goals. But regardless, this guy in the fourth quarter continually, time and time again, gets it done. The guy is a gamer. The guy is an Illini legend, or becoming one, certainly. And I was asked after the game, where does he rank in Illinois quarterback history? Now, for me, Kurt Kittner was big. And I think for fans of a certain age, he certainly was. He went to 2 bowl games, won one of them. Sugar Bowl didn't go great, but won a Big Ten championship. He was a gamer, and he was a very good quarterback with very good wide receivers. I mean, Luke is sort of in Kurt Kittner territory, is he not? I mean, if they have a really good year this year, and after yesterday, I feel more confident that they will, then I think that you're looking at Luke Altmyer as arguably the best modern Illinois quarterback. It's a discussion. So enjoy it. I love Tommy DeVito's one year here. I really like that guy. But Luke has become something else entirely. And when you really think about just 2 years ago, the struggles that he had, we saw good, but we also saw some bad. And now we're seeing all this thing come together. That does not happen without incredible work ethic, without just a really strong mental fortitude. So he's such an easy guy to root for. This whole team yesterday was all about resiliency and overcoming your worst performance of the Bielema era. They all did that. But it really starts and ends with your quarterback as well, because I would imagine that confidence that he exudes just sprinkles down to the rest of the team. We got Luke Altmyer under center, and chances are he's going to lead us down for a game-winning touchdown or field goal. And that's exactly what he did. Running backs. Okay, the fumbles were bad, and that cannot happen. The punch-out was a really good play from USC. I feel so good today that Khalil is off the hook. I feel when that happened, just because it was a great run. It was a better punch-out. You got to give props to the defense sometimes. Sometimes it is a true takeaway more than it is a giveaway. And that was the case yesterday. I thought Caden, to have that big reception touchdown in the third quarter after giving it up at the end of the second quarter on the 5 or inside the 5, good for him, man. 60 yards for him, 59 for Valentine, 28 for Altmyer, 25 for Lawfrey. Just solid, consistent running. Receiving, Dixon is really looking good. That guy is coming to his own. Him and Beatty, fantastic games of 90 and 81 yards respectively. Fagan had the long 60-yarder. Bowick with another touchdown. Clement with 2 good receptions. Rusk, Arkin, Abney. Who's Abney? Valentine. And, Luke got one. Touchdown pass, don't forget, from Hank Beatty. Double reverse, Barry Lunny, you beautiful son of a bitch. I mean, what a play. That was right in front of us in our seats this year. And it was so cool to see that the thing you set up at Duke was, you didn't have to wait long for it. And I love it. I mean, I think that when I saw Luke sort of, it was right in front of us. And I thought, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. Hank got trucked at the end of that play, and they got the roughing the passer as was the right call. But man, what a day for the offense. They punted once, would have scored twice more if not for fumbles. I'm sure that fumbling or holding on to the ball will be a point of emphasis this week because Illinois has been so good at it thus far this year. And you got to feel confident going forward into Purdue and beyond that the offense is going to score you points. And if not A plus. A plus probably is a stretch because of those 2 fumbles. Other than that, an A day for the offense. Defensively, understandably, people are concerned. And in fact, Joe, I will use your comment here. Defense is still concerning. There it goes. Okay. It is. It is concerning. We don't know what happened to Matthew Bailey. He did not play in the second half. Sounds like a shoulder thing. And Bret said more short than long term, whatever that means. Okay, fine. That's probably good news. I thought the defense was pretty good for 2.5 quarters, almost 3. You were going to give up yards and you were going to give up points to USC. Maeva is, along with Menza, you've played 3 really good quarterbacks in 5 games, all of whom will play in the league. And you get out of this 4-1. So let's start with that. That's a very big positive. You are not going to play many quarterbacks as good as those guys. Okay. The concern I understand, because in the fourth quarter, it felt very much like the 23 defense. You could not stop them on 3rd or 4th down. However, I'm not pulling any sort of 5-alarm fire here. I'm not going to do that. But I think what encourages me about the defense, a weird word to say after they almost lost the game yesterday, if you want to look at it like that, I still like the overall approach. When Xavier Scott went out, and now especially if Matthew Bailey's out, you have to keep the team in front of you. There was a lot of zone yesterday. There were a lot of times where USC had to go play after play after play, and they'd convert a couple 3rd downs. And then finally, you'd get the stop, or Dylan Rosiak would get the pick, or you'd get the fumble like you did early in the game. You forced a punt, maybe 2. That might be what they are. Now, the question is that good enough? I would agree that I don't think in year 5 that's good enough. And I don't think that's good enough considering all the guys that have been brought back. I do have questions about Aaron Henry. I think I definitely have more confidence in Barry Lunney as a coordinator than I do Aaron Henry. And I think most of us probably do. I also got to throw this out there about the last touchdown USC scored. That was down at our end of the field. And before the play even snapped, there's 1:55 to go. And we're all dreading, oh, Christ. They're going to milk this and give us maybe 20 seconds left. Use our timeouts. This is torture. No. Illinois goes single man. No safety help over the top. Heckle is on Lemon, right? Mekhi Lemon in the slot. Giving him 8 yards cushion. Essentially baiting Maeva to throw it. 2 things are going to happen on that play. Well, maybe 3. Let's go 3. 80% of the time, it's going to be a catch. Touchdown for Lemon. That sucks, but really, when you consider the circumstances, it doesn't. Better for them to score right away. The other 2 options, slim as they may have been with Heckle on him, is you get a pick or you get a pass breakup. I thought that individual play call, whether that was Bret Bielema saying, hey, we got to go, man. We got to bait them into passing. I would love to think the coaching staff thought of this. I had no problems with the last touchdown pass that you gave up, or really, for that matter, the play on the drive before that where Lemon got 2 in a row that were just, the first one in particular was well defended, and he just made a play, and Maeva made a throw. But your concern, Joe, and for those that are concerned about the defense, I think is valid for everything in between. On one hand, I don't mind this play a lot of zone, keep them in front of you. They're going to get their yards, but you're going to be bend, not break. That might be the approach you have to take without a Xavier Scott. But I also do think this defense needs to consider one thing: not substituting as much. And I say that only because, and I know this is not an original thought, a lot of people were noticing that in the stands and on TV yesterday. We would do the substitution thing. Okay, fine. That shortens the game. I get the approach. But it was also, I felt like, sacrificing a bit of cohesion and understanding. There were a lot of times the defense was looking over the sideline right before USC snapped the ball as if to say, what the hell is the call? And when you're substituting that often and that many guys, you're going to lack a bit of cohesion and continuity. So I do think that needs to be tweaked. I think that you need to get a bit more aggressive and pick your spots with blitzes. It worked beautifully on a safety blitz with Miles Scott. You did see the defensive line. They got close sometimes, so close, but Maeva is slippery. You know, Purdue's not very good, but Ryan Brown is a slippery quarterback, as we saw last year. So I do think tweaks need to be made. I think your expectation for the defense, right or wrong, needs to be just be okay. What is okay? 24 points a game. USC got 32. USC, one of the best offenses in the country, got 32. Yeah, I'd rather they only got 21. If you would have told me going into that stadium, your defense is going to give up 32 to USC, I would have said, you got a chance. And that's what happened. So that's why today I'm not looking at Aaron Henry and saying, get him out of here, or he stinks. I'm not sold on him. I've never quite been sold on Aaron Henry. But I think this is also coming from up top. Like Bret Bielema looks at his personnel and says, well, this is the best chance to win, so therefore this is kind of our identity as a defense. Aaron Henry's a younger guy. I don't think Bret Bielema is going to give him 100% control over it without saying, hey, here's our identity. Here's our general kind of idea of what the defense should be. I don't agree with all of it. I don't. It can be frustrating. You got to get better on third downs. And you faced two of the best offenses, if not the two best offenses in a row, 2 weeks, just Indiana, USC. Ohio State's offense at the moment is not as good as either one of those, but their defense is just that freaking good. So we'll get to that in 2 weeks. But offensively speaking, the next best offense that you play, metrics-wise, I think is Rutgers. I'd have to go back and look at that, but I saw this thing on Twitter yesterday saying, this stretch you have coming up, Purdue, they've scored a few points and they are pesky. So you got to play well for sure. But Ohio State, it's been a defensive-oriented team. Their defense is truly elite. I think the best in the country. And then you have Washington that came back down to earth yesterday against that Ohio State defense. And Rutgers, with Ethan Kaliakmanis, is actually statistically the next best offense you're going to play. Now, we know that Ohio State is probably objectively a better offense than what Rutgers has. Rutgers offense kind of has to because their defense has been so bad, oddly enough. But and they lost, I believe, yesterday to Minnesota, at Minnesota. So Kaliakmanis does not extract revenge on PJ Fleck. But let's talk about that real quick. Your schedule does start lining up. You got through this first stretch 4-1. I predicted 9-3 before the season. Okay. That was predicated on starting 4-1, assuming that Ohio State is still number one. Listen, give yourselves a chance, but it's still Ohio State, and that's okay. I mean, what is it? 20% chance Illinois wins that game. I'll take those odds, but it's fine to say realistically that's tough. At Washington, okay, after a bye week, sure, but you're still going out west. It's tough. We saw with USC yesterday. That is a USC team that when they're home, if Illinois has to go out there, I don't think Illinois wins. So scheduling break, you get them at home instead. And next year you go to UCLA. Fine. I'll take my shot out there. But there is something about going across the country. So that prediction, and if you were of the, hey, let's just try to get to 9-3 again, and then maybe we'll get a break and go 10-2, you're right back there. You're right back there with yesterday's win. And yes, it lightens up for this very defense that has struggled the last two games, but I don't know. I'm not going to say I think this is a bad defense yet. I'm not there, and I don't know if that's foolish. I think that I kind of like going into this Purdue game, getting the win against USC, but then you're a defense and you say, well, I mean, shoot, we still gave up basically 500 yards, 32 points. We got to do better. And hopefully there's some tweaking that happens this week and they come out and let's say hold Purdue to 17, 20 points. I think that would be a good defensive effort because Purdue put up 30 on Notre Dame. They can't stop anybody, I'm pretty sure, but let's see. Can Aaron Henry figure out Ryan Brown? And if he does not, the second time around, yes. I think if you see a bad defensive performance against Purdue, it is fair to say, what the hell is going on? I'm not going to do that after playing Indiana and USC. I don't know if that's naive of me, but I don't want to panic after playing the two best offenses you will play all year. Splitting those games. And in the second one, holding USC to a point total that you'll kind of live with against an offense like that. So that's my spiel on the defense. I'm not overly concerned, but wouldn't it be great if they were great? Well, they aren't great. They aren't. But your offense might be. And I don't know, guys. Let's just outscore people. I mean, it's fun, isn't it? And yeah, it took you that last drive to beat USC. You are playing a lot of teams going forward that are not nearly as good as USC. If Illinois plays with the same focus that they did yesterday, and maybe that Indiana loss, if you think about it from a positive perspective, maybe that game is a galvanizing moment for the entire season. When you lose like that, it's not like you get the USC win, like, see, that 53-point loss didn't mean anything. That's a 53-point loss. That is a big old matzo ball out there. And I would imagine that somehow, some way, Bret Bielema can finagle that into being a motivational piece for the rest of the year. We got our butts kicked. We're better than that. We got to show people we're better than that. And we got to keep showing them. After yesterday against USC, within that Smith Performance Center, whether they say it out loud or not, college football playoff entered their consciousness again. That's fine. I have no problem with that. And I'm not going to talk about it until after seeing how the next 2 weeks go leading into the bye. But if it did enter their consciousness, I'm okay with that because that tells me the urgency will be there. And it's not now just about beating teams. There's a reason why the Duke game went the way it did in the second half. There's a reason why against Western Michigan, you woke up and said, okay, wait, guys, we got to win by a lot because College Football Playoff Committee does care about that. Okay, well, fine. If that's in their consciousness, then they go into Purdue next week and they say, enough of this bullshit, enough of this close game against a not very good Purdue team. Win by 3 scores. You could at Duke, and Duke's pretty good. They just smoked Syracuse. And not to do the transitive property game, but a Syracuse team that beat Clemson. I know they're down, but still, Duke won 38-3. Maybe Duke is good. Maybe Tulane, who beat Duke, is also good. In other words, guys, you probably have 2 quality wins right now. At Duke, USC at home. Those are going to last. In Indiana, if they beat Oregon, which I think that's at Oregon, so that's tough. But even if they don't, is still looking at a 10-2 record. If you're Illinois, the path is still there. It's crazy to say, I know. Just a week ago, we were saying, what's this Barton Miller thing? And we can't, oh my God, we lost by 53. What embarrassment. What a difference a week makes. But this was a bit of a gauntlet. You got through it 4-1. Hey, before the season, that's what I thought they would do. They did it. And now that they have, and they're on the other side of it, the path becomes a little more clear if they want to talk college football playoffs. So I'm going to wait on that until after the Ohio State game. But think about this. This is the week ahead of you for Illinois football. Yeah, Purdue coming up. Purdue's coming off a bye. Barry Odom has them playing some plucky, pesky football. I don't care. I don't care that they were within 3 scores of Notre Dame or 2 scores of USC. You got to win. And you better go in there ready to kick their butts. I'm sick of the Purdue thing. They should be bad for the foreseeable future. They might have punted this in the next season until they can get a little more NIL funds. This should not be close. So I want them going in a little pissed. Last year against Purdue, you won in overtime. Hooray. No one felt good after that. You came back, played much more focused against Michigan. I hope it sticks in their craw. There's not the Ryan Walters narrative, so you got that going for you. Thank goodness. But go win, and win convincingly. And you should. You should. And if you want to put someone on watch, Aaron Henry in the defense. Okay? There were still some good things. I'm telling you, I saw some good things yesterday. I like the overall approach, but you need to make more plays if you want that approach to continue to work. You got 2 takeaways against USC. Fine. Get more against Purdue. Bend not break works if you're getting 3-4 takeaways a game. It'll work every damn time. You got 2 yesterday, and that almost wasn't enough against USC, and USC will do that to other teams. But against the lesser thans, and there are a lot of lesser thans coming up in Illinois' schedule, this defense needs to be good enough to let the offense go out there, get their 30 points, go home with a win. Because, by the way, this offensive output under Barry Lunny, I want to make sure that I'm getting this right here, but if we can, is it okay to throw the Indiana game out there as an outlier? 52 points, 45 points, 38 points, 34 points. That's this year. Last year, at the home stretch of that season, they were averaging like 35 points a game. You got an offense. The receivers are good. I know it's no Pat Bryant out there, but your receivers are good. So defense, Just be okay, and we'll be okay. What a day, guys. 5-star freaking day. You beat USC. And you did so in the thrilling fashion. I didn't talk about David Olano yet. Kid comes out with quote of the year. And I think he was quoting maybe Justin Tucker, the Ravens kicker, but it was something along the lines of, my team wrote the paragraph. Me and the snapper and the holder were just the punctuation at the end of it. Something like that. He said it to the team when he got the game ball, along with the snapper and the holder. Kudos to that kid, man. I was not shaking, but my legs were jelly at that moment. I was so nervous. I actually, after it happens, everyone's jumping up, hugging, my niece and I take a selfie as the field's getting rushed. And I kind of lean down. In front of us, there's those padded seats for the people that usually sit in front of us. And I kind of lean down. I put my head down. I almost like fainted at that point. All the blood rushed to my head. I was like, whoa, 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 get back up, get back up. And this kid knows for the entire offensive drive, we're going to get it within range. All you got to do is go out there in front of 60,000 people and make the kick. And if you don't make the kick, it's going to be a devastating loss and everything's going to suck. No. Kickers, I don't love putting it in the foot of a kicker to end the game because so many things could go wrong. But when you got a kicker that does that, and the Bears had that with Robbie Gould for many years, he comes out, he's going to make the kick. It is huge, I think, for future games that it will be close, that you already have a game-winning kick under the belt of David Olano. That stuff is contagious for kickers. And if you get that and you see it and you visualize it and you know that you can do it, then guess what? You can do it again. So if Illinois is in a position later this year and the same template is unfolding, you should have more confidence that David Olano will do it again. So props to him, the field goal team. So many things can go wrong on a field goal. And I was thinking, man, wouldn't it be great if we just went down and got a touchdown? I was hoping and envisioning on that 3rd and 4 that we're going to hand off to Caden and he was going to see daylight and go, though I guess USC would have had some time after that as well. It worked out perfect. David freaking Olano, good for him. I mean, Bret Bielema even said after the game, when interviewed by Jenny Taft, best kicker I've ever coached. The kid has a boot. And as Trevor said in her group thread, it was so strongly kicked. It was like, damn, did that go over the crossbar? Or over the goal post? It was good as gold, as we used to say as Bears fans. And the north end zone, it's so funny. As I'm watching it from the South 25, you're just waiting for the north end zone. And in a way, the south end zone, the horseshoe, you're waiting for them to react first. And when they did, be still my heart. Crowd storms the field. Chills just went up my spine thinking about it. Guys, how cool was that? How cool was that? Let's hit up a few of these chat thread things in here. We got Teddy. Anyone else perusing Twitter today and seeing a lot of familiar sentiments, except it's USC fans and not us? Makes me feel good. Teddy, Lincoln Riley deserves a lot of criticism. Again, 1:55 to go, or I guess it's the 2-minute warning. Okay, 2 minutes. They throw it, touchdown, 1:55 to go. What are you doing? What are you doing, you dum-dum? You don't need the touchdown there. Play it, run the ball. Take your time. Dink and dunk. He got 15, 17 yards, I believe, at that point. And he took the bait. And Maeva took the bait. Lemon, he's a wide receiver. He's just going to do, what's my route? Okay, I'm going to catch the ball. That's his job. But for Lincoln Riley and Maeva to take the bait there and give Illinois a minute 55, you deserve criticism, man. And I know USC fans are giving it to him. And he deserves it. He's got all the resources in the world. One thing, and I don't want to be petty about this, but was it Dre Brown who went out to USC as the recruiting coordinator? It didn't sound like there was a lot of good blood after that. Not that this is the Dre Brown revenge game. The guy played hard for Illinois. Good for him. But no, sorry. You're not on my team anymore. So I'm glad we beat you. I hope you enjoyed your trip back to Champaign. Not. You're not wearing my colors anymore. So it's okay to say that. I don't need to wish everybody well. It's just, you're at USC now. And you got a bajillion dollars. And you got NFL talent all over the field. And the best Lincoln Riley can do, he is basically the same exact record as Clay Helton through 45 games. The same exact record. And this boy wonder at Oklahoma rode that post Bob Stoops wave to a lot of success. It ain't working the way it should for a brand like USC. And that's okay. That's fine. I hope it doesn't. Not because I have any particular beef with USC, but it's when I see these programs like USC or Penn State, who I'll get to in a minute, and I see that they got every freaking advantage to not be perennially 9-3. They are the haves in a world full of have-nots, and they can't figure it out. So Lincoln Riley's an excellent offensive mind. He's not a good head coach. There's enough proof out there that the guy is not going to maximize the talent that is given to him, and he's certainly not ever going to win anything of note at USC. So they're in a dilemma, and they put a lot of money into this team, and they'll win some games. They'll go 9-3. That is not how they set up that roster. Illinois can go 9-3, and I'm fine. But guess what? I don't think we got a $50 million roster. That's probably exaggerating, but we don't have the budget they do. There's no way. So, yeah, that leads me actually to, I'll get to the Penn State thing in just a bit here. Blake, I appreciate this comment at the start of the podcast. Thank you for tuning in. This also from Teddy. Tailgate was short for us. Pro tip, get yourself an electric generator that has solar recharge. That's smart. Might need to do that, Teddy. Might need to get a Christmas gift for myself. However, beautiful day for a game. Last drive, we have 2 minutes, timeouts, and Luke F. and Altmyer. I felt good. You know, the fans behind me, Teddy, his name is Todd. I would talk to him. I said, hey, so I guess we're going to be seat buddies for a while here. So it was cool talking football with him. He's very knowledgeable of it, too. And he said, after USC scored, he said, that's fine. We got time. And I kind of felt that way, but, man, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous as heck. All right, what else here? We have Caroline. Hey, Caroline. Lunny with an A-plus play calls. Yes, Caroline. Bielema said as much on his radio interview. What a day from Barry Lunny. He's had a few of those in the last couple of years, and one more from Caroline. Finally passes to the tight ends yesterday. They look great. Russ looked great. Arkin with the 12-yarder, little stiff arm. Yep, good stuff, Caroline. Big fan of Barry Lunny overall. I like his approach. I like the balance, the run-pass balance. And when it's working, man, it's good. It's a fun offense to watch and a steady offense. You can tell from my voice it's about time to pack up. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Penn State and big game James and Drew Aller, who's the same freaking quarterback he's been since his freshman year. It couldn't happen to a nicer bunch of fans who live in the weirder remote parts of Appalachian, Pennsylvania. I'm not going to necessarily go down the Jerry Sandusky rabbit hole, but I think it is okay, whether you be from afar or not, to levy any sort of lobs that you want to at Penn State football. If such a fan base and a program didn't deserve success, it's them. James Franklin just reeks of inauthenticity. He's a good coach, but you can't call him a great one until he gets the big win. Penn State fans and the big donors and stuff, they're putting money in that program to not perennially lose to ranked teams at home. And that apparently is mostly what he does best. Drew Aller, by the way, annoys me to no end. I find him to be just the most boring personality ever at quarterback. And I will never forget 2 years ago when they're coming into town. And yes, they smoked Illinois on the strength of their defense. But the Penn State guy, and this just kind of goes to show the weird kind of culty crap that they reek of over there, came out of Jeremy's pod and said, Drew Aller is, and then went on a 2-minute, oh my God, love fest. Drew Aller is this, that, and the other. He's a half man, half centaur beast from Greek mythology with just a golden arm. And oh my God, this kid is just amazing. Drew Aller stinks. He stinks. He is what you would put into Madden as a quarterback with all his attributes, and the guy can't make a big play to save his life. So I love watching Oregon win that game, and I love watching them get the INT to wrap it up. I have no beef with Oregon. I know they got the Nike money. I'm a Nike fan. I wear Nike shoes all the damn time. So I don't know what you do if you're Penn State. I don't know what you do. Do you fire James Franklin after he inevitably goes 9-3? Do you Bo Pelini him? We'll wait and see. But I love that. That was a great little capper on the day. Indiana gets the big win at Iowa. Of course, that was going to be close because it's Iowa. But big play by Surratt late, and Indiana They are just trucking along. They if they win at Oregon, guys, then Curt Cignetti, coach of the year, just give it to him 6 games in. But big performance from them, and a lot of bye weeks. A lot of bye weeks for a lot of Big Ten teams, including Illinois' next opponent, Purdue. So let's see. One more here from Uncensored Illinois Basketball. Uncensored, man, how did the offensive line improve so much? They did this last year too. I work with IU grads, and this week has been very, very tough. Yeah, that would have been. And you just got to wear a loss like that. And I think this team did only as much as they needed to. They wore the loss, but they somehow channeled it into what we saw yesterday. So credit to them. Illinois football, freaking awesome. What a win. 4-1. Makes the weekend better, does it? Makes the week better. So props to Bret Bielema, props to the team, props to Bart Miller, Barry Lunny, Aaron Henry for the most part. I mean, for the first 3 quarters, and to the players. It didn't have to go that way. It did not have to go that way, and they made it so. So thank you, Illinois football, for a memorable 5-star day. That's an all-timer. If you were there, you know it. That was an all-freaking-timer. So I hope you guys have a good rest of your week. Before I get out of here, quick reminder, like, subscribe, follow, wherever you're listening. We got quite a crew there on this Sunday morning. Thank you guys for that. I know NFL has started, so I'll get out of here. But before I do, a reminder, the best way to support us is to support our sponsors. That includes Hamilton Walkers in downtown Champaign for steak, seafood, and spirits. Hamilton Walkers. Going to be heading to our anniversary dinner here this week as well. So we appreciate them. Nathan, the staff, excellent service. Cannot wait to have an old-fashioned from the bar. Also, State Farm agent Brian Hansen, online at brianismyguy.com. Brian, I'm sure, was beaming like all the other Illini fans yesterday. I cannot speak highly enough of Brian, not just as a guy, but an insurance agent as well. Brian Hansen. Man, my voice is going. I apologize. Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing, your home's best friend. Schedule your fall furnace check by calling 217-841-4728 for Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing. And finally, Owen Builders LLC, online at owenbuildersllc.com. For your next home improvement project, check out a gallery of their work online at owenbuildersllc.com. Whew. Champagne Showers Podcast Network. I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in and listening, watching, wherever you do. Enjoy that one. Soak it in. Freaking awesome. Illinois football is 4-1 after a thrilling homecoming win against USC. We'll be back Wednesday with a full voice. Have a good rest of your week, everybody. It is the 200 level.